is the auditorium.
I declare open this congregation of the University of Sussex. A quick thanks to the people involved in making the brand new film that was being shown slightly earlier on, the film What Does Sussex Mean to You, produced by Fat Sand with the generous support of University Council member Arjo Ghosh. The warmest of welcomes to our honoured guests, our distinguished faculty members, and to those of the professional services here at Sussex. But the warmest of welcomes are reserved for you, our graduands, and your family and friends that join you here today. And to those who could not make it here in person and may be watching this via live video stream, hello. Good morning, good day, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world. erase your history. It is a profound honour for us that you chose Sussex as your place of study, and that graduands from all over the world will be receiving their degrees at these ceremonies. And on that note, just a quick word to our foreign students. I want to thank you for playing your part in making us a global university. I know how hard it can be to travel so far and at such expense to try and get to grips with a different culture, language, and sometimes a different set of values and modes of behavior. To overcome those hurdles, unfamiliarity and homesickness, to remain focused and resolute. You've been a credit to your university, your families, and your countries. To our homegrown graduands, thank you for confounding the oft-taken view in wider society about the value of a formal education, that it somehow reflects an abdication of social responsibility, that the so-called real world begins when education ends. Many, particularly at our winter graduations, are living examples that learning is a lifelong pursuit, not attaching itself to age, social background, or specific period in one's life. I think any of us now can be unaware of how much strife there seems to be around the world at this moment in time, particularly as it's reported to us via the media, often as ideological, or to me, ideo-illogical sets of differences that act merely to highlight the differences between us rather than what we have in common. It can be pretty depressing, but I saw a wonderful tweet recently ascribing the following to Mr. Fred Rogers, who's an American educator, and he had a kids show on American TV for 30 years called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.' To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in this world." All of you graduands here today, by coming to this place of learning and hopefully a little bit of fun, together are the shining example of how the world can be, that differences can be respected, altercations can be settled through discourse, and disagreement doesn't need to be interpreted as an attack on your very soul. My mother used to say to me that an insult only becomes one once you've accepted it as an insult. Of course, if I disagreed with her, she'd repeatedly smack me around the head till I did. But you know, it taught me a thing or two. Your time here at Sussex, for me, is the best illustration that the human race is a race that we can only win together. I know that a lot of you have persevered to get to this day while struggling to balance your studies with home life, raising children, personal loss and sickness, trying to survive on overdrafts, loans, or family help. You, every one of you, have taken all that on, and us being here now is irrefutable proof that you've emerged victorious. It's your commitment to seeing this journey through, despite the million reasons not to, that we're really celebrating here today. And wow, what a journey. From that first day at kindergarten or nursery when your parents abandoned you, to a teacher that looked like a 1970s Soviet women's shot put champion, despite your protestations that you really, really didn't want to go to school, to the day that your parents said, "One day you will go to big school." And you realized that they'd lied to you again, because it wasn't one day, was it? It was like over a decade of going. And from those early days when your parents, not only did they dress you, but they also took photographs so they could embarrass you with them 20 years later, to the day you dressed yourself and they looked at you with that, "Are you seriously going out dressed like that?" But those families have been with you every step of the way. So at this moment in time, to graduands and lecturers, a round of applause for the families and friends. Now you're probably thinking, please get on with it. All we want to do is to get across the stage without losing our mortarboards or tripping over our gowns and landing in someone's lap in the front row. What a choice of laps you have here today. It's like the Grand Budapest Hotel meets 50 Shades of Grey. Finally, on a technical note, I don't really care whether you've been up here before or how old you are, or how brainy brilliant you are or anything like that. You haven't actually got your degrees yet, your graduands. And you getting one may just depend on how much love you show me when you come up here. No love, no degree. Clear? Families and friends, this is a glorious opportunity for you to really embarrass your loved ones when they come up here. They did it to you enough times when they were growing up. It's payback time. So when they do come up here, please have your cameras ready and feel free to make as much noise as you possibly can as your superstar crosses the stage. If any of you are here on your own today, then I'll be your family or friend. So you're not alone, okay? I call upon the Vice-Chancellor to address the congregation.
Chancellor, Mr. Mayor, graduands, 50 Shades of Grey, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Oh dear, Chancellor. We have to do better than that. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Fantastic. It's a real pleasure for me to add my welcome to this graduation ceremony. Graduation is one of the highlights of our academic year, a day for celebration, and one where you, our graduates, mark a significant achievement in your life. It's a great honor and a privilege to be able to share your happiness today. Although graduation has its formal aspects, and you may have noticed that we have made a bit of an effort and dressed up for the occasion, as the Chancellor has indicated, it's also a time to relax, have fun. And family and friends, do everything you possibly can to embarrass your loved ones as they walk, trip, run, dance, cartwheel across the stage. During the last 5 years, the university has grown substantially. So it's not surprising we are graduating more students at these winter ceremonies than ever before. Nearly 2,000 of you will cross this stage during these ceremonies, with ages ranging from 20 to 77. Coming from 112 different nations. What an amazing reflection of the diversity and truly global reach of Sussex. Sussex has an outstanding reputation for world-leading research, and many of you graduating today have contributed to this. Our growth strategy will ensure that we continue to be globally competitive as a research-intensive university. In the government's latest Research Excellence Framework, a major assessment of university research, which comes only around every 6 years, 98% of our research was assessed as world-leading, internationally excellent, or internationally recognized. This is a truly outstanding result. Our new strategic plan, Making the Future, goes even further and affirms that the university's commitment to research should have impact beyond the bounds of academia. Many of our impact case studies submitted to the Research Excellence Framework showed that our research is making a real difference to people's lives, whether this is in healthcare, influencing policy in low-income countries, or digitizing history. Our future strategy clearly states that we will enhance our international focus. 25% of our students are from overseas, and we celebrate an increasingly internationally diverse teaching and research staff. Sussex has a reputation for being a place where people from all over the world can make friends easily. Last year, the university teamed up with the Students' Union to host One World Week, a celebration of international diversity, and a way to promote understanding of global issues. It was such a success that we've committed to making it an annual event. The tragic events in France earlier this month endorse for me the importance for universities to remain united, promoting understanding across national, political and religious boundaries, and offering opportunities to dispel prejudice and xenophobia. As well as thinking globally, we are thinking locally. The university contributes to Brighton and the South East in many ways. We already contribute £600 million each year to the British economy, and more than 2/3 of that goes into our local economy. And we're helping small businesses to get off the ground too. Through our Sussex Innovation Centre, we offer startups a range of support of business strategy, finance, marketing and sales, PR, and research. We plan to extend our reach later this year when we open a branch in the centre of Croydon, as well as a Brighton branch next year in 2016. In parallel with the growth in students and academic faculty, we're continuing to enhance the campus to a quality that we believe will provide an unparalleled experience for our students and staff. At the beginning of this academic year, we provided a new home for our rapidly growing School of Law, Politics and Sociology. And later this year, we will open our refurbished arts centre, the Attenborough Centre for Creative Arts, in memory of our former Chancellor, Lord Attenborough. We're now planning a major new life sciences building and a further expansion of our campus student residential accommodation, providing more than an additional 2,500 beds, so that we can meet our target of having at least 40% of students in university housing. There are, however, some significant challenges ahead. We are well aware of the heavy financial pressures faced by our students and concerned that these pressures are only going to increase in the future. We were encouraged by the recent announcement that loans will be available next year for postgraduate students. Sussex is also making an important contribution to ease the pressure by creating additional scholarships. These include the Sussex Graduate Scholarships and the Chancellor's Master's Scholarships, which are additional to our international scholarships. I hope that some of you graduating in this ceremony will have been able to take advantage of these schemes. Many of you here today will have come to Sussex from overseas, and I want to say a few words especially to you. Our university would be a very different place without you, and we thank you for your contribution to making Sussex such a diverse and vibrant place to be, a place where students and staff from across the world work and play together and learn to live together. We know that the visa application process remains excessively bureaucratic, and we continue to make the case to our Home Office that our international students are not immigrants, but highly valued guests. You make a vital intellectual contribution to our research and taught programs and make it possible for the university to create a global community on campus. You also remain extremely important to us when you return home, as we believe you are our best ambassadors in your own country. And for that, we thank you. At a predominantly postgraduate graduation ceremony like this, we get a sense of the huge diversity of graduating students. Of course, some of today's graduates themselves are parents, some with children still at home. To you, I offer special congratulations. Balancing family life and study is a real challenge. My warmest congratulations to you. Now, in the last few minutes, I've told you some things about the university's progress over the last year, but something that I've learnt since coming to Sussex is that people seem to like it better the less I speak. So we've put together a short film in which our students reflect on their Sussex experience, consider the future, and send a farewell message to you, our graduates.
Happy.
Daunted.
Proud.
Anxiety.
Nervous. Very, very emotional. Very scared.
I would say it was fantastic.
On my first day at university, I was really eager to get going.
All the perks, definitely. The diversity of the people who live here.
Good people, good weather. When the sun's out, I just love it.
The rain.
musical opportunities for the chances to play music?
The beach, brighter than the city. I like the idea of multiculturalism, but also I like the night vibe. It's really beautiful.
Comprehensive. Inspiring.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Crazy.
Intense. Excellent.
Pushing the boundaries for being applied in the real world.
Excellent. The research quality is so good. So good.
The academic experience at Sussex has been invaluable.
One role.
I would definitely say the student support unit.
Childcare center.
Reopening of the Attenborough Centre.
The family accommodation.
The university's biggest success, in my opinion, is the tutors.
Biggest success this year has been winning varsity, in which we beat Brighton University in almost all the sporting events we played them at over the course of the day.
Exploring other culture.
To work with a group of people.
Practical skills I need for my career. You know, struggling with our own fears.
Stay calm.
Your hard work will be rewarded.
To enjoy your time because it goes really quickly. It just has taught me just to stay strong whatever happens. You just have to carry on doing what you love.
The big life lesson I learned at uni is that money disappears surprisingly quickly.
Relieved. But also really proud.
Sad.
And excited and happy.
Excited but sad that I'm in Sussex.
Really excited.
I just hope I'm not one that falls.
Accomplishment. It means a lot because I want my mom to see me.
Yeah, on my graduation day, I will feel sad. Like every adventure will come to an end.
Congratulations, graduates. The world is your oyster, and if you can see, it's not the greatest day, but there's always silver linings to aim for, so just try your best, and it'll always come through.
Congratulations, everyone. We've made it!
What's coming next is going to be a blast. Well done, guys. You smashed it.
Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations, everyone. I'm so proud of you. We did it.
Congratulations to all graduates and also parents. It's the end of our journey, but it's the beginning of our future. Congratulations!
Very special thanks to all of you who took part in the video and to Carrie Prue and our communications team who were responsible for the production. And now finally a few words to families and friends. First, can I join the Chancellor in thanking you for the support that you have given your sons and daughters, your partners, your spouses, and in some cases, your parents and other family members during their time at Sussex. For it has helped to make today a reality. Many of you will have made great sacrifices to help your loved ones get to this point today. The university fully recognizes the important role that you have played and offers you our most sincere thanks. Graduands, I hope that your experiences at Sussex have extended beyond the limits of your degree and that they will have gone some way to prepare you for the future. But remember, this is not the end of education, just a point on a lifelong journey of learning. I hope that you will be able to take our values such as freedom, tolerance, equality, social responsibility, and honesty forward into the next stage of your life. I would ask you to remember the multinational community that you have created here at Sussex and build on those experiences as you go out into the wider world. Sadly, we still live in a world where poverty, catastrophe, and conflict abound. We all have the responsibility to play our part to promote societal change. And I look to you and your Sussex experience to go out in the world and really make a difference. As you think about the new life that will begin to unfold when you leave the ceremony today, I would ask you to keep some time and space in your heart for Sussex. You will always be part of the Sussex family, and it is likely that we will need you in the future, perhaps more than you will need the university. You will, of course, be joining an illustrious group of alumni, many of whom have made major contribution to the worlds of politics, government, academia, the creative industries, business, international development, and so on. You name it, and you will find Sussex graduates worldwide changing lives, making an impact. Our alumni relations team will make sure we stay in contact wherever you might be in the future. Finally, let me take this opportunity to say again how proud of you we are and offer you our sincere congratulations. I wish all of you every good fortune for your chosen futures and hope that your experience at Sussex has gone some way to prepare you for the next stage of your life. My very best wishes to you all. I call upon the Deputy Head of the School of Business Management and Economics, Michael Barrow.
Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Economics and International Relations, Kasper Ponampalam. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance, Mingun Dun. Minya Matkovic. For Business and Management Studies, Michael Oji. Christopher Scott. For Finance and Business, Meiki Lam. For Marketing and Management, Zhihao Jia. For the degree of Master of Science in Banking and Finance, and also awarded the prize for the Best Student in Banking and Finance, Martha Bond. Mei Shu Chun. Yi Chen Chun. Grislyn de Souza. Junda Du. Song Dong Hee. Eva Hipomene. Hao Ran Hu. Xin Tong Huan. Xin Li. Xiaoshu Li. Shou Chuen Ling. Jia Lu. Lazarus Tapua Mavira. Ali Mirza. Rosalind Mubiaya. Nokutula and Lovu. Duk Yep Pham. Shi In Chen. Yu Yan Cho. Yu Chen Sun. Wen Ting Tan. Shu Yu Wan. Umong Wan. Hong Yang Wei. Fu Xie. Han Shui. Theodore Yanchev. Shetian Yao. Yang Yue. Kai Chan. For development economics, Molka Abbasi. Fiona Minette Bailey. Louis Conradi. Victoria Tafesi. Callum Taylor. For economics, Rowan Charodian. Simon Cox. Hugh Alexander Lewis. Also awarded the prize for Best Performance in Economics, Alexander Pitharides. David Struntz. Garda Sugiyato. Josim Zahinga. For Economics with Internship, Bridget Azubuiki. For Energy Policy and Sustainability, Duncan Edmondson. Jack Miller. Hazuki Terada. For Global Supply Chain and Logistics Management, Usu Chun. Also awarded the prize for the best student in Global Supply Chain Management and Logistics Management, Najib Ahmed Chowdhury. Renato Figueira da Costa. Corina Hauk. Max Florian Rao. Also awarded the prize for the highest mark in a research project and the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Trophy for Best Dissertation, Caroline Richards. Well done. Natnicha Tangavirapat. Xuan Wan. Supat Yongkamol. Huimin Zhou. For Innovation and Sustainability for International Development, Keba Omar Janye. For International Accounting and Corporate Governance, Munshu Dai. Ma Ya Dong. Yu Fei Fang. Shan Shan Guo. Li Han. Se Xian Ho. Xiaojie Li. Min Yue Lin. Xin Yi Shan. Yu Xiang She. Xin Tung Wei. Se Cho Wu. Yi Je Wu. Jian Hui Xin. Hao Yang. Hao Lin Yuan. Xin She Zhang. Chung Zhen. Yu Bin Zhen. For International Economics, Bosede Adeleye. For International Finance, Mo Chen. Yihan Gu. Xiaochen Jin. Jin Liu. Jing Mei. What's next? Shui Shang. Yifan Zheng. Li An Chen. Shauna Chen. Violeta Chimanskaya. Ibukunolowa Koka. Jing Turn. Asha Isaac. Dateng Jing. Karishma Kumar. Shintung Lee. Victoria Maximova. Hui Ming Li. Ricardo Ruggiero Rigato. Also awarded the Department of Business and Management Prize for Best Student in International Management, Walid Salim. Patarin Saditum. Ying Shern. Anshul Singh. Hung Kit Tao. Wing Kit Sang. Molan Wan. Ying Rang Wan. Jia Tao Wu. Luhan Shu. Jia Dong Wen. Jiali Zhang. Jia Zhao. An Chi Zhern. Xi Li Zhou. For international marketing, Caroline Alsop. Jessica Rose Bowery. Danyan Chern. Yifan Chern. Itsu Chern. Gemma Elizabeth Crease. Xin Xin Deng. Anne Engelbert. Wei Hu. Yu Wei Huan. Susanna Kralova. Shu Li. Yin Shi Liang. Won Yun Lee. Miles Manyonda. Alexander Mears. Irina Mizovičiūtė. Linnea Mullenbach. Yawun Lin. Wei Jian Pan. Yusuf Ramiki. Deepti Savana. Also awarded the Department of Business and Management Prize for the Best Student in International Marketing, Farhana Tabassum. Congratulations. Very well done. Oguz Tukek. Fan Yung Tum. And Guy Man Jimmy Wong. Pei Li Wan. Yao Wan. Yu O Wan. Yun Fei Wu. Shu Wei Yen. Shi Min Zhang. For management, Louisa Avboroso Akpotea. Nutchana Anand Takun. Mohammed El Jichi. Also awarded the prize for Best Student in Management, Jia Wei Li. Well done, well done. I'll put on the picture too. Xuan Lian. Jia Chun Sun. Jin Hua Wei. For Management and Entrepreneurship, Jia Li Chen. Pei Chi Go. Xiao Wan Liu. Aha T. Haman Wabi. Yi Zhang. For Management and Finance, Ilya Babera. Jing Chai. Michel de Souza. Chun Chun Dai. Ming Gao. Ting Hua. Tieling Huan. Min Li. Ming Yu Li. Xiao Xiao Li. Yi Li. Jun Jun Li. Sherlin Liao. Yihan Ivan Lin. Zhaojun Mao. Tong Miao. Mehmet Oz. Huyen Trang Lin Fan. Xin Chi. Xuan Chin. Victor Sanchez Mayorga. Menga Song. Chai Tan. Yang Wan. Da Wei Wan. Also awarded the prize for the best student in management and finance, Hao Lan Wang. Shenqi Wang. Yuying Wan. Yang Yu Wu. Li Yan Shao. Lu Qing Yu. Jian Shu Yu. Lian Xing Yuan. Jia Wei Zhang. Pinyi Zhang. Li Gongzhao. Ling Zhen. Yu Fangju. For managing innovation and projects, and also awarded the prize for best student in managing innovation and projects, Alexander Joseph Camilleri. Bo Han Hee. Jin Xinhui. Congratulations. Xiaoyun Hu. Milan Srirang Langa. Yenjun Ling. Hui Xuan Shi. Congratulations. Pasanan Supat Akanit. Danielle Wallman. Yan Chen Yao. For Science and Technology Policy, Joshua Hutton. For Technology and Innovation Management, Sarah Bafagi. Emily Teresa Belcher. Philip Davis. Dongwei Huan. Yunbei Jia. Thank you very much. Yu Lao. Also awarded the Rothwell Prize for Excellent Dissertation, Christopher Lau. Well done, congratulations. Yue Ran Ma. Ying Bo Shi. Congratulations, well done. Anna Škodic. Oh, how could I hug her? Olawasian Smith. Sean Tay. Tian Wun Zhao. Yunhei Hui Jiao. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. For the thesis, Civil Society Roles in Transition Towards Sustainable Food, Rachel Durrant. For the thesis, The Impact of Business Regulations on Bank Performance in the European Union, 2000 to 2010, Antonios Kalivas. Congratulations. Your family. For the thesis, An Empirical Study on the Nature of Corruption Amongst Nigerian Firms, Causes, Channels and Detection. Omofola Mihan Malomo. Glad I got through your name. For the thesis, Developing Community Energy Projects, Experiences from Finland and the UK, Mari Martiskainen. For the thesis, Tax Revenue Mobilization in Ethiopia, Julia Maskanyi. For the thesis, Exploring the Potential Impact of Carbon Capture and Storage Technologies on the Diversity of the UK Electricity System to 2050, Tammy Ann Sharp. Congratulations. For the thesis, Learning in Clinical Practice, Findings from CT, MRI, and PACS, Tanya Sinizic. For the thesis, The Systemic Capacity for Technological Absorption and International Technology Transfer, How Some Korean Firms Successfully Exploit Russian Technology, Yu-Hung Won. Chancellor, this concludes the list of graduands, proposals and marriages from the School of Business, Management and Economics.
I call upon Professor Hans van der Heijden, the acting head of the School of Business, Management and Economics, to present Keith Skeoch. Is that for me?
Chancellor. Keith Skeoch is Chief Executive of Standard Life Investments, a post he has held since 2004. An economist by training, his career at Standard Life started in 1999 when he joined him as Chief Investment Officer. He has also been a director and on the board of Standard Life plc since 2006. Once described in the press as the beating heart of Standard Life, as Chief Executive of Standard Life Investments, he has responsibility for overseeing over 260 billion assets managed by the company. Prior to joining Standard Life Investments, Keith was with broker James Capel, part of HSBC, from 1980 to 1999. During his almost 20 years at Capel, he rose from international economist to managing director of international equities. Throughout his successful career, Keith has held a number of key industry appointments and responsibilities, and he is a highly regarded and trusted figure in the financial sector. This is most strongly demonstrated by his role as a board member of the Financial Reporting Council, the UK financial regulator, in the wake of the global financial crisis, where he worked with government and trade bodies in establishing best practice in stewardship and governance. He has also been a board member of the Investment Management Association and has contributed to the industry through a number of channels, including the HM Treasury Wholesale Markets Forum, Director of the Association of British Insurers, Director of the Investment Management Association, Chairman of the IMA Asset Management Committee, the Chancellor's Working Group on Rights Issues, and the FSA Senior Practitioner Panel. Keith holds numerous awards and accolades in recognition of his exemplary and long-standing contribution to the financial services industry and his contribution to the economics profession. Amongst these, in 2011, he was awarded an honorary doctorate of business administration from Teesside University. In 2012, he was made a Fellow of the Society of Business Economists, and in 2013, he was named European Personality of the Year by Funds Europe. Those that know him a bit better than I do describe him as an affable, warm, and approachable person, which might be counter to the image one might have of a traditional captain of industry. Keith's successful career is clearly a reflection of his deep commitment and love for his work. In his own words, quoted in an article in the Financial Times in 2008, "Markets have been in my blood forever." His exemplary career trajectory resonates with our school's ambitions to educate responsible men and women to provide strong leadership, not only in the financial sector, but across the whole range of business, financial, and regulatory activity. It is with pride I say Keith has a BA in economics from the University of Sussex, from the then called SOC School, as well as a master's in economics from Warwick University. And one of his Sussex tutors confessed to find it amusing to see that he had written on one of Keith's first reports, "A thoughtful student, he should develop well." He couldn't be more accurate in his predictions. Interestingly, though, as he recently revealed in an interview in the Financial Times, when Keith joined Sussex in the 70s, he thought he would become a mountaineer, and he was attracted to Sussex by its then political activism, as he considered himself a bit of a rebel. Little did he expect in his first year at university that his professional climbing to heights would be in the financial world, and that Sussex would become a very special place for him. It was at Sussex not just where Keith spent 3 of his most formative years, but where he also met his wife, Andrea, also a Sussex graduate in history. Chancellor, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa, Keith Skeoch.
By the authority of the Senate and the Council of the University, it gives me great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of the University honoris causa. Many congratulations. Here it is.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Professor van der Heyden, fellow graduands, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for the honour, as well as the privilege of addressing the congregation this afternoon. It's actually almost 40 years to the day that I nervously made my way down from North Yorkshire to an interview to read philosophy at the university. So to be a doctor of the university is very special for me, but I have to say your timing is exquisite. It also has led me to think about what this rotund, greying 58-year-old who doesn't know how to do a selfie might have said to the svelte, slightly spotty, Sussex-bound student had we miraculously bumped into each other back in January 1975. Well, after a lot of thought, probably three things. First, I'd have pointed him right in the direction of the Park Village bar, where a pint of King & Barnes bitter cost a mere 8 pence. The Yorkshireman in both of us would have appreciated that this was probably the cheapest pint of bitter we would ever drink. It was cheap because the bar was a co-op where students working on the bar worked for free. Well, at least for a free drink. The economist in me would also work out later on that cooperation, collaboration was extremely important if you're going to build trust and work for the collective good. Principles that I worked at Sussex and have served me very well through a long career in finance. Second, I think I would have had to have had a quiet word with my younger self. The flared jeans, the multicoloured fluorescent tank top and the day-glow orange clogs, very cool in 1975, would be judged by history as probably one of the most serious fashion crimes of the 20th century. Finally, I think my main point of advice would have been enjoy the freedom to learn to think in a special environment that Sussex's multidisciplinary approach allows. One of the things the last 40 years has taught me is life ain't linear. It's full of twists and turns, which means you never stop learning or having to cope with uncertainty and change. I've spent most of my career dealing with uncertainty, first as a professional economist, where, despite what they tell you, a good forecaster gets it right 27% of the time. Being wrong 73% of the time means there's plenty of opportunity to learn from your mistakes. Latterly, it's been coping with uncertainty as an asset manager, trying to make both sense out of uncertain financial markets and deliver a decent return that savers can enjoy in a comfortable retirement. Learning and accumulated technical knowledge in that kind of environment is critical to trying to understand what's going on. And we often build models to help explain the past. However, the real value of these models is they tell you precisely what you don't know and where you need to deploy good judgment. Good judgment often comes from thinking about the consequences of the big events that impact our lives in a broad and innovative manner. Good judgment also seldom happens without listening to and respecting and learning from the thoughts of colleagues and friends. Poor prediction, on the other hand, is often the result of narrow, technical, and insular thought, a lesson that too many people have once again had to learn the hard way in the 6 years following the financial crisis. So I've an awful lot to thank Sussex for. It provided me with a real education that taught me to think and never stop learning. It made me realize that knowledge is power only when it's shared. Sussex also gave me something much more special. 39 years ago, funnily enough, in the Park Village bar, I met my wife, who deserves probably more than half this honour. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Professor von Heyden, and the university, on behalf of both of us, thank you very much.
I call upon the head of the School of Mathematical and Physical Sciences, Professor Peter Coles.
Chancellor, I will now present to you for the Certificate in Higher Education in Mathematics, Vaishnavi Kiritaran. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, Luke Everson. Guy Fowler. Sarah Handy. Sevdet Karepina. For physics, Thomas Armstrong. Sandro Moshinsky. For the Master of Science in Corporate and Financial Risk Management, Wei Lan Chen. Yu Jia Guo. Xiao Hao. Jia Ling. Wei Dong Peng. Kai-Yun Chen. Xiaolong She. Zhezhe Yen. I'll read that again. Zuoquan Zhou. Wan Chao Zhu. for cosmology, and also awarded the Sir William McRae Prize for Outstanding Performance in Astronomy or Cosmology, Robert Hardwick. For financial mathematics, Hai Quan Liang. And also awarded the prize for outstanding performance on corporate and financial risk management or financial mathematics, Da Peng Wang. Congratulations. For mathematics, Karmand Kader Ahmad. Abiodun Johnson Dairo. Birger Fuchs. Arifa Patel. For particle physics, Jesus Alejandro González Anaya. For physics, Brian Fanning. Chancellor, I will now present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. For the thesis, Analysis of Eigenvalues and Conjugate Heat Kernel under the Ricci Flow, Abimbola Apolorinwa. Well done. For the thesis, High-Order Compact Finite Difference Schemes for Parabolic Partial Differential Equations with Mixed Derivative Terms and Applications in Computational Finance, Christoph Heuer. For the thesis, Untangling the Physical Components of Galaxies Using Infrared Spectra, Peter Hurley. For the thesis, Aspects of Gravity in Quantum Field Theory, Ting Chung Yang. Yeah, sure. Is it running? Yeah. Thank you. Chancellor, this concludes the list of graduates from the School of Mathematical and Physical Sciences.
Chancellor, I present to you a graduate who was unable to be presented with their school for the degree of Professional Graduate Certificate in Education in Graduate Teacher Program, Daniel Bates. Congratulations. Well, well, well. Chancellor, this is the moment when you have just a few seconds to reflect on whether you think you've had sufficient love during this ceremony. I have to say, I was completely exhausted just watching you and was very worried how much you seemed to enjoy being lifted up by the young man earlier on.
At my age, it's always wonderful when you're picked up. Wherever it might be.
So is it yes or?
Oh, definite yes.
Definite yes. Actually, I think it was a world record.
Oh, it's extraordinary. I mean, anyway, we'll come to that.
And just, Chancellor, so you know, the two students, this is a world record, the two students who got engaged on the stage during the ceremony were Jing Liu and Qin Mei. They're both 23, and they both studied international finance, and they met just 1 year ago. So both of you just think about our honoree, think about how good and well he's done in the world of finance, but also think how well he's done in his marriage. Because marriages sometimes don't always last forever, and theirs has. Good luck to you both. Chancellor, before it turns into a soap opera, you have now met all the graduates being presented to you at this ceremony, and the moment has come for the formal conferral of degrees of the University of Sussex. I therefore ask you to confer their degrees on those presented to you and to the other graduates who have indicated they wish to graduate in absentia at this ceremony.
I formally confer degrees on all those referred to by the Vice-Chancellor. Congratulations, well done. Well, that was all right, wasn't it? Extraordinary. In terms of the proposal, that's a first, I believe. I don't. Has anyone here experienced anything like that before on the stage? That is a first, and it's wonderful. But I just wanted to say to the couple, I know this is, you know, it's a fantastic moment. It really is. And if I told my wife, she would then tell me off for the way that I proposed to her. It's one of those, you know, it raises the bar and everyone thinks, oh, I should have done that. There's nothing wrong with a ring in a McDonald's bun. Anyway, that's not what I did really. But I just wanted to say to you both, I mean, this is a very public event, and, you know, you're both 23, and go away and think about it, all right? Don't allow the pressure of the moment to kind of influence your final decision, okay? We wish you both the best of luck and love. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. But if you do get married, we are all invited. That's a given, isn't it? Everyone in the room. We acted as witnesses, for goodness sake. That makes us officially involved. Congratulations, everyone, including Keith as well, honoris causa. And well done, and family and friends. Some of you were truly embarrassing, which is respect. So graduates, so as your time here at Sussex draws to a close, we hope that you will remain connected to us in your hearts and thoughts as alumni. The Alumni Association isn't there just to keep you up to date with what's going on and for arranging get-togethers and the like. It's a fundamental resource for the future graduates of the university. Like you, at one stage, many of the students will be living away from home for the first time, having new responsibilities thrust upon them, dealing with debt for the first time, trying to negotiate the tricky waters of making and maintaining new friendships and relationships. And they could do no better than to be able to tap into the knowledge, opinion, and experience of those who've been through the whole process firsthand. So I hope that as many of you as possible will get involved with the various programs designed to help the students with their development and their employability. There are those present today that have been associated with your success that look upon these days with huge fondness and great pride. So please show your appreciation for your teachers, tutors, and staff. Whether your next step is gainful employment, the search for it, further academic study, or simply some time out, I wish you the very, very best. In closing the ceremony, the Chancellor of a university is supposed to say something inspiring or impart some wisdom. Since I spend most of my time seeking inspiration from others, and wisdom and me are only connected by the word teeth, I am sorely underqualified to provide you with either. But since I have to, I'll chuck a few thoughts your way, and you can do whatever you want with them. I will not be offended whether you take them or not. That's up to you. It suddenly struck me that one of the things on days like this, there's a word that sits in front of everyone. It's a thing, which many people regard with deep suspicion and fear. The future. You hear a lot of, think of the future. What about your future? You must plan for the future. And actually, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, unless it leads to a fear of the future. Fear of the future leads to a paralysis in the present. Ultimately, it's the fear of the unknown. And we end up sticking to, what we know. Better the devil you know. But the one thing we all agree on, and we know, is that the future is coming. Change is inevitable, and the future is unpredictable. But no matter how much we know that, we tend to end up thinking that the future is unpredictably bad, never unpredictably good. When I graduated, the country was in a deep recession at the time. There were very few jobs. Houses were being repossessed. Businesses were failing. And I ended up in debt. Did you know that I did a business degree? Did you know that? Do you care? No. I'll move on. I sued a company for breach of contract, and it took 2 years for them to settle with me out of court. But for those 2 years, I couldn't get any kind of work at all, and I got very depressed for about a month. And then I started watching movies, which was pretty good. And then after that, I kind of thought, I've got to do something. And so I filled my time by going to a local hospital, and I did voluntary work there and for a couple of years, and also started to write. I'd always written, I'd always been interested, but I thought, well, I've got time, so let me write. And then I got together with a musician friend of mine, and I said, these things I've written, maybe we can perform them together, just because you're not doing anything, and it'd be nice to get together, and we'll be creative. And in one of these performances in a small studio space with only about 40 people watching, one of these performances amongst the audience was a producer from the BBC who came up to me afterwards and said that he liked what I was doing, and was I interested in helping him develop a comedy sketch show. I was 30 at that point, and things looked really bleak to me. And within about two and a half years, I found myself in an award-winning TV show that then completely changed and opened up a most wonderful life. I could not have predicted that at all. And when I remember the posters I had on my wall as a teenager, it still amazes me to this day how many of those icons and heroes that I had up there that I've now met, and in some cases I've become friends with. I could never have predicted that. not in a million years. And going back further, some of you may know that Sussex was my first choice when I was applying for universities. I didn't get in. Apparently my grades weren't good enough. So I took my business elsewhere, and I waited until all those who'd prevented me from getting in had either retired, been deported, were in prison, or were just plain dead, and I got in as Chancellor. And the moral of the story is, unpredictable. It's unpredictable, but unpredictably good, all of those things. So I kind of realized that after several occasions of feeling like there is, the future is dire for me, from the other side of hopelessness, when I look back at my 20s or even my teens, I don't see it anymore as a period of abject failure as I did then. I see a subconscious gathering of experiences and hardships and challenges that have enabled me to survive better for another 2 decades beyond that. I see an education in life matters and relationships that today allow me to help my kids in a far less theoretical way to viscerally value the depth of friendships and family, the importance of choosing those that I surround myself with. I choose. And I now realize that I wasn't the loser that I thought I was back then. I was just success in waiting. And I've felt successful ever since. And I don't mean fabulous wealth, mansions, and sports cars. I don't have those yet. It's because I don't define myself by a bad day or a bad week or a bad year. I had a bad decade, but I came out of it. And because of that, I know empirically that I always will. I feel successful because I've become aware that my life is described by the meaning I give it. A good friend of mine told me that on hearing someone saying, life is meaningless, he jumped up and he said, yes, it is meaningless. It only means whatever you put into it. The other thing I've realized is that the picture that I see, no matter how complex and how complete I think it is, it's never the whole picture. I know that I have choice. And slowly, through these things, I think I've begun to have some idea of who I am. People I think the thing with the future, thing with kind of pressure, is that there's a question that's asked of you, and that is, who are you? Who are you? And who you are will then dictate what you say and what you do. But who are you? Now, if somebody had asked me who I was when I was 30, I would have said, I'm a loser. I haven't got any money, I haven't got a home, I've got nothing. If they asked me at 33, I would have had to say, well, I've got a flat and I'm on TV and I'm doing rather well. At the end of the day, I was still the same person. The only difference was, what, money? Right? So I kind of decided that who I was, or who I tried to be, was somebody who's defined by generosity, patience, compassion. And then you can ask me in whatever thing I happen to be going through, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you who I am. So who are you? The other thing I've chosen is to seek inspiration from people and moments that move me, that make me feel good about myself and the world that we live in. All the people that I've chosen to be friends with have one element in common, and it's one that I've just mentioned: boundless compassion. They consistently express their humanity in thought, word, and deed. They listen, they empathize, they give, not because they want respect or adulation, but they're just expressing who they are. As Maya Angelou, the great American poet, said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. People will never forget the way that you made them feel. I've learned to be curious, be principled but not rigid, to make mistakes but never to repeat them, try to make new mistakes. A person who keeps making the same mistake over and over is an idiot. Be generous about other people's mistakes. Somebody might have the solution to a really vital problem that could change the world or solve the obstacle that's stopping you from progressing, and that same person may be wrong about everything else. Hear them out. I hope I've learned to have the courage of my convictions, which means allowing your convictions to be tested fully so you can know them better. And if someone puts forward an argument that reveals your conviction to be incomplete, modify your principle. Don't be afraid to change it. Adapt. It won't be the defeat of your principle if you change it. It will be the evolution of it. The famous Chinese thinker and philosopher Lao Tzu said, if you do not change direction, you may end up where you're going. Which is related to Winston Churchill, who said, if you find yourself in hell, keep going. No experience need ever be wasted. If you're not enjoying something, then what are you learning from it? If you're not enjoying it and you're not learning from it, why are you doing it? Stop. Do something else. There's a story about two mice that fell into a bowl of cream and couldn't get out. And one mouse just said, this is impossible, and just drowned. And the other mouse splashed and thrashed and struggled and splashed and thrashed until all the cream had been churned into butter and then stepped out of the bowl. Sometimes the struggle is the solution. I believe that we are the sum total of all our choices and our experiences, but what constantly defines who we are is always what we do next. We're all creative, we constantly create, and therefore we can create a better self every day, every minute, and every second. So don't skimp on your dreams. Einstein said, logic can take you from A to B, your imagination can take you anywhere. I leave you with some quotes that I've kind of been reading recently. This is from Martin Luther King, who said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And the Dalai Lama, who said, there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, believe, do, and mostly live. And finally, one of my favorite quotes, which is from Charles M. Schulz, who created the Peanuts cartoon, who said, stop worrying about the world ending today. It's already tomorrow in Australia. It's worth keeping in mind. So, my friends, yesterday you can leave for the archivists, tomorrow is for the fortune tellers, but today belongs to you. We can only build a fabulous tomorrow on the foundations of a great today. Thank you for letting me be part of your great today. Be creative, dream big, be passionate, be compassionate, and never, never give up. I wish you all happiness and good fortune in everything you do. I officially declare this graduation closed.